Is my mic working? Can someone let me know if my mic is working, please? Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Just trying to give a couple minutes because I'd see we've got a couple members that aren't present yet. Has anyone spoken to Commissioner Rawls or McCaskill?
I have not.
Send messages out to them, so hopefully they'll join us. Just a reminder.
Or I'll be in attendance as I explained.
Yes, sir.
And that is because of a death in his family. Mr. Mayor, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was just making sure I got someone to call Commissioner Rawls as well. He just joined on, so perfect. I see you, Commissioner. So we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is our June 23rd, 2020 Community Redevelopment Agency Budget Workshop scheduled for 2 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order with our invocation and our pledge at this time. Commissioner Campbell, can you go ahead and lead us in the invocation and the pledge?
Yes, sir, I can. If you would, please stand. Dear Heavenly Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your grace. We thank you for your mercy. God, we ask as we go forth with this meeting, God, we ask that you give us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to properly move this community forward. God, we ask that you bless every household that is represented. Be with our commissioner as he grieves death within his family. God, shield him and protect him as well, God. Amen. If you would join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll have roll call at this time. Commissioner Ross. I'll take that as present. Kim.
Present.
Commissioner Boardman, McCaskill are excused. Commissioner Campbell,
Present.
Vice Mayor Brown. She's here, and I'm here, Terrell Hill. So we have 5 members present. We have a quorum with 2 excused absences. Next up is public comment. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action will be taken on topics of discussion. Anyone wishing to speak during public comment, please dial 386-329-0100 so that your comments can be heard. No action will be taken on topics of discussion. We'll now open the floor for public comment. Again, the number is 386-329-0100. Seeing no phones, we'll close public comment. We'll move on to our only scheduled item on the agenda, which is presentation and discussion of the proposed fiscal year 2020-2021 budget for CRA tax increment funds per the 2020 trim calendar requirements. Ms. Becker.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to share my screen with you all. A delay from to make sure every screen. Can everybody hear me?
Here now.
Okay. All right, so we're going to end the tax increment fund CRA budget workshop for next fiscal year 2020-2021. I just wanted to, a courtesy or a background photo is a courtesy of a local business, Azalea Aerials. Here's some information from Mr. Hughes. He did a really good job working with me at these photos for 2 presentations. So just wanted y'all to have that information. We are proposing change in the millage rate. I have reached out to the county. I believe they are not proposing any change to their millage rate at this time. So therefore, the formulas for the revenues in the TIF are accurate for now. The increment values that you see are presented to us from the property appraiser. They give us a July figure and which is proposed their final figure October. Obviously, due to timing, have to use the July figure. They are showing 9% increase in downtown, 14% increase in south, and 9% in north. That equates to the revenues that you see before you. I have it broken down by county share and city share. You'll see there's 408,000 total in downtown, 119,000 expected in south, and 46,600 expected in north. So we're to downtown, which is your central district. A few things to note. We have a lot of the same recurring costs as last year. SBDC is split in the general fund. We have the maintenance contract for, I believe, the landscaping in downtown. we have voted on, or you as the as the CRA agency voted on the professional services that is split among the three districts, which is for the SM&E contract. We have the marketing and promotions, festivals, Christmas lights. Your wayfinding is in there. We've been talking about that somewhat in the past. We have the electronic sign and the directional wayfinding. The landscaping this year includes some riverfront improvements. We have your site amenities, which is the same as last. The Conley Snyder Mural Committee requested $10,000 once again. We still have the floating property action budget in there. I'm not sure if that's going to where we are in that. However, we do have it in the budget. And then the transfers are still the same as last year. You have the CRA administrators, which has actually been reduced to 25% instead of 50% based on a reallocation. We have fireworks, Christmas lights. This year, that's different, is the Better Place Fund transfer, which is a project match for the streetscape St. John's Avenue project. And then we have your general fund admin expense transfer. Do we have any questions in downtown?
And let's move to South.
No. Okay. So moving on to South, same thing. We have some repeats in there. Yes. Okay. So we have your FRA, we have annual dues, we have the addition of the professional services. Sidewalks is included for your capital outlay. We also have the festivals and landscaping in there. We only have 2 transfers going out of there, which is your CRA and your admin expense. All right. I'll move to North if there's no questions.
Questions? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and keep going.
Okay. North, we have the professional services allocation like we've talked about in the other 2 districts. We did not continue on with the Christmas tour. I believe there was $200 in there in the past. They hadn't done that in the past couple of years. So we reallocated those funds. We are looking to do sidewalk improvements in North and landscaping projects. Other than your 2 transfers for the admin expense and the CRA administrator's expense, you do have your debt service that goes to the North Road reconstruction project that we did last fiscal year. Do we have any questions on North?
Good.
Okay, seeing none, that wraps up the CRA budget. I believe in your packets on the agenda item, you actually have a line item with all of the figures and everything attached to it. So that concludes my presentation for the TIF funds.
Do you have anything set for contingency?
Yes, so we have in the reserves, downtown has 42,000, south has 33, almost 34,000, and north has about 44,000.
Okay. Any other questions? Questions? If you don't have any questions at this time, we're going to go ahead and wrap up our budget workshop. We'll close out with questions, comments from the agency. I'll start out with you, Mr. Holmes.
No, the only thing I'll note is that I have a text message, or I guess it's popping up on my screen from Commissioner Rawls that his mic is not working, but he has a question. So I assume he'll be doing that in the chat feature.
Have him call. If he calls in to, Commissioner, if you call in to 329-0100, then I can actually put you, we can have it where you can actually speak. So 329-0100, then we can actually hear you.
Harry's asking for an extension in the chat box. Is there an extension he has to go to?
Yeah, it should come right up. They should answer it. Just go to extension. Just do extension 230 to probably the easiest way.
That,
It should go straight in. If you dial 329-0100, they should pick it up without
said-
an extension, and you should be fine.
extension 320.
Yes, Sonny just indicated section 322.
322.
Hi, Mayor. I do have a correction on the South Historic while we're
Okay.
waiting on Commissioner.
Okay.
South Historic, you'll note that it does say that there's $30,000 in the home improvement program line. That is false. The home improvement program has been suspended for now until we come up with the program plan. So please remove the home improvement program of $30,000. It should just be FRA annual dues, addition of professional services, signage, capital outlay sidewalks, festivals for $3,000, not $5,000, and landscaping for $9,000. So that's my mistake.
Okay, gotcha. Commissioner, can you hear me? Can you guys hear him? Go ahead. Let me see. Can you go ahead? Can you hear me?
I think you just answered two of my questions. What's going to happen with the home improvement program? Are we suspended? Is that going to be taken back up later? I'm getting a lot of feedback.
So his question is, what's going to happen with the TIF HIP program? And he wants to know if it's going to be taken up at a later time, or is it just going to be suspended?
So I'll have Ms. Tucker or Mr. Griffith speak to that, as it's a part of the plan that the professional services will be proposing.
Yes, sir. So when we originally spoke with the board, when we put out the RFP for the consultant services to redo the plan, it was decided then to suspend all of the incentive programs except for the recruitment grant and the commercial rehab grant until the plan could be completed, the update, because any programs that we have out there need to comply with the plan. And so we're waiting for that plan implementation. And once that happens, we'll come back to the board and see what incentives and what shape they should be that the board feels.
When will that update be completed, and when will we be able to get back with having that home improvement plan?
Certainly. So the update is currently underway. It was approved to do the first portion of it this fiscal year and then to finish within the next fiscal year for budgetary reasons. So the plan should be updated completely within the next fiscal year.
Okay. All right. I'm good.
Okay. Looks like, do we have any other? I see the phone, we had a call come in. Is there any other calls or any questions from the commission, from the agency? Seeing no other comments at this time. Mr. Holmes, you have anything else?
I do not.
No, I'm good. I just, when Logan spoke for the discrepancies, that answered two of my questions.
So he says his questions were based on the discrepancies that Logan spoke about and answered two of his questions. All right, Commissioner, I'm going to go ahead and drop you from this call to try to eliminate your feedback as well.
I'm sorry.
So if you have any other questions, just go ahead and
I'll type them in.
if you type them in, and we'll just dial you back.
Are you? I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me through my microphone now?
Hold on. Say something, Commissioner, through your mic. We can't hear you through your mic. Okay, any other questions at this time? Mr. Holmes, I'll try it again.
I have nothing further.
Okay, Ms. Tucker, Mr. Griffith.
No, sir, I don't have.
So I've got Mr. Cutright. You have anything else?
No, nothing at this time, Mayor.
Okay. I will move to, I don't see any representatives from North Tip or South Tip that are here. Do we have anything in the chat box from either one of those entities? Ms. Kemp, I'll start with you as a representative for this for the Central Business District.
No comments and no questions at this time. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Brown. Okay, that I'm reading your lips. So I guess that means no comments at this time. Commissioner Campbell.
I have nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Rawls. Me, just type it for me if you have if I need to call you back, Commissioner.
He has nothing.
Okay. All right. And I've got nothing further. Just want to thank Ms. Becker for a great job on this budget. And we will reconvene where, and it looks like we don't have it. I guess without any additional suggestions, there's no need for a second budget workshop. So when do we reconvene to go ahead and adopt the budget?
Logan, what's the calendar for our?
Yes,
adoption?
sir. So we'll have our first reading at the City Commission September 10th, and then the final and adoption will be September 24th.
Purposes of what we've got here, I'll entertain a motion to present this budget to the City Commission from the agency.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with presenting this budget to the commission from the CRA.
Is there a second? There's a second by Vice Mayor Brown. It's not it's verbal, but I can read it. It's got a second from Vice Mayor Brown. Nod your head just so we have it on the record if that second's okay. Commissioner Rawls, get ready to type. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? There's an aye by Commissioner Rawls as well. There's no opposition. Motion carries unanimously. This will conclude our budget workshop, and we thank you all for, we thank the agency, but we also definitely thank staff for the wonderful work that you've done, especially Ms. Becker, Mr. Griffith, Ms. Tucker, and Mr. Holmes. And so again, thank you guys for making this process pretty seamless at this time as we move forward, and we're awaiting the recommendations that come forward with the new advisors. So again, thank you very much. We will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. If there's a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And there's a second by Vice Mayor Brown. The time is 2:26, and we will stand in adjournment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Miss Mary, can you hear me? I can't hear you, Miss Mary. Are you muted?
A lot of feedback on somebody's line.
That's Vice Mayor.
I think because it's on my phone.
If you got it on two devices, you're gonna get feedback.
I think that's on my. Good. Yeah. Give me a few minutes. I'll come on down.
We can tell you how to get your voice activated over your phone, over your computer.
Well, she gave me the numbers and I dialed them in.
Can you have somebody just turn the speaker down on your laptop?
Okay, when you do that, hold on, let me get somebody.
Or just mute your laptop. Just mute it.
It's on mute. I couldn't get any sound out of my laptop. Can you hear me now?
Doing the same thing.
Shall I come and sit down? I come on down to City Hall.
Is there a way that you can log Vice Mayor out?
Yeah. Yeah, take the phone. I gotta go to City Hall.
I hang up.
Can you log her out of both systems? Because I think she's headed down. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I think by the time we get to the agenda and we've gone through all our opening sessions, Vice Mayor Brown will be here.
Is your camera on?
So let's go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome everyone to our City of Palatka Budget Workshop for July 23rd, 2020. At this time, we're going to go ahead and call to order the meeting. We'll have our invocation and pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Campbell, followed by a roll call. Commissioner Campbell, will you lead us in the invocation and the pledge?
I will. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this, your grace and your mercy that you bestowed upon us, God. We ask as we go forth with this meeting, God, that you give us the knowledge, the wisdom, and the understanding, God, to properly move this city forward. We pray in Christ's name, amen. If you would join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Campbell.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. No, thank you again. And at this time, we're going to move forward with our roll call. Commissioner Borum is excused. Vice Mayor Brown is in transit. Commissioner McCaskill?
Here.
Commissioner Campbell?
Present.
Carol Hill's here. We have 3 members currently present, and we have a quorum. And so now we'll move forward into our public comments. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No action will be taken on topics of discussion. Anyone wishing to speak for our general public comment, please dial 386-329-0100 for any of your comments or questions, or you can actually put your comments or questions in the chat box on our YouTube live stream or our Facebook Live, and it should pull up. At this time, we'll open the floor for public comment. Again, the number is 386-329-0100. Ms. Robinson, have anybody?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Again, 386-329-0100. Background interference. That means Ms. Brown has to be close.
Oh, is it mine? It might be mine.
So we're going to just wait for a second before we move into our presentation under item 1, which is proposed budget for fiscal year 2020-21. For general and enterprise funds per the 2020 trim calendar requirements. So at this time, let's just stand down until Vice Mayor Brown can get on and just for public information, we just completed our CRA budget workshop at 2 o'clock. We'll be moving forward. So we will stand in recess for 5 minutes until we can get Vice Mayor Brown situated. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reconvene. Vice Mayor's in transit. Rush hour traffic in Palatka is getting longer every day. And so as she battles through the traffic on Reed Street, we will continue on with item 1 of our agenda, which is our presentation and discussion of the proposed fiscal year 2020-2021 general budget, general fund and enterprise funds per the 2020 trim calendar requirements. Ms. Becker, you're up. And Vice Mayor is listening via telephone at this point.
I'm gonna share my screen with y'all. Sonny, it's saying that I cannot share my screen while another participant is sharing.
Getting it.
Okay. That worked. Thank you.
Probably couldn't hear me. I was on mute, but I said that I think that we're taking care of that issue right now.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
I can.
Okay.
It's somewhat digitalized, but I can see it.
All right, so we'll get started. Welcome to the City of Palatka Budget Workshop for the General Fund and Enterprise Funds for fiscal year 2020-2021. Again, as in our previous workshop, I just wanted to give a shout out to the local business Azalea Aerials. They have provided us our background photos for both workshops. Mr. Hughes, they do a wonderful job. I have their contact information if you should need any aerial photos. Each year, I like to start the budget workshop with a little video. This year, I did something different. I wanted to introduce the commission to some of the employees that maybe are behind the scenes that you don't know. Maybe you do see some familiar faces and the public so that they can see the heart behind the city. So if you can't hear the video, let me know. I guess just send me a chat or something, but hopefully you'll be able to hear it.
A little bit, it's a little distorted. The other way. Minimize it just a little.
Ashland Phillips in the City of Palatka Public Works.
My name is Jabari Pittman, and I work at City of Palatka.
Joe Pound with the Recreation Department. Demetrius Johnson, Palatka Police Department.
My name is Ashley, and I work for the Street Department.
Brandon Moore, City of Palatka Water and Sewer Department.
Robert James Boone III, and I work in the Sanitation Department.
Robert Moore with the Palatka Fire Department.
First name's Steve, last name's Buck, and I work for the wastewater department.
I'm just Dion Bells. I'm a city driver for sanitation, and
A lot of seafood, salmon BLTs and everything.
In my off time, I'm hunting, fishing, riding in the woods, or trying to build something.
Water superintendent at only 25 and was put in this position at 23, and that is very uncommon.
I had a frog jump on my leg. I almost jumped off the moat on 11th Street, and I had on beige pants, and the frog was beige. So I ain't see what it was, and I looked.
got hired about 3 years ago. My driver was Pat, and he got out to help me one time because the can was full. And when he dumped it, he slipped and went right in the can. It was the funniest shit. I mean, it was the funniest. I peed in my clothes that day. I had to go home and I had to change my clothes. You should have seen it. cat, lion, or something like that. Yeah, because they top of the food chain. They hold it down. Yeah.
Like an alligator. I mean, I've loved alligators since I was little. We used to go gator hunting all the time. And like just the strength they have in their jaws and like being able to just like rip stuff to pieces in a matter of seconds.
I would be a cheetah because they are fast and they're dangerous.
An older Spider-Man might have a chance, but Batman all the way. Because Batman's a cop. People don't realize that he's just a rich vigilante like cop type, right? Because you think about it, I have a belt just like he does. He just has the money to put cooler stuff on his. So
you're Batman.
yes, I am.
Okay.
It's an open confession right there. I am Batman.
Living on a Prayer, maybe. That's a good one.
Yeah.
A thriller. Something good, something exciting. Something that's gonna make people dance and laugh.
How about All About That Bass? I'm all about that bass. Is that all right?
That's perfect.
As far as why, I don't know. It's just got a really cool beat and it's catchy.
I love
but
it.
I don't know. I could probably think of a million songs, but I don't know. That just came to mind for some reason.
I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, no.
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
Throw your hands in the air if you's a true player.
I hit him.
You know how people can drink something, make it shoot out there, and out there, yeah, I can do that.
And I can juggle, but I
A
don't know.
leopard can carry twice its body weight into a tree. I read that on Snapple one time.
That's all I got. The city of Palatka is set on a river with beautiful landscaping, lots of parks, lots of greenery, classic small town feel without the hustle and bustle.
You hear, let it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear.
Okay, so that was just a little video, little taste of some of our employees. We had a great time doing that, so hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, wait, before we go any further.
Oh,
the young
sure.
the young lady that was singing, if we
Nice.
need some budget, some ways of enhancing our revenue, I'm suggesting that we consider finding a way to get her a contract, okay?
Right. I was so shocked. I mean, I learned so much about all of these employees, so it was wonderful. Yeah, I agree.
And for those
Duet
of
with
you,
Campbell.
I'm sorry?
Gets to duet with Campbell.
Right. We have some talented folks. So anyways, now we're going to get into the, the not so exciting part, which is the budget. First part, I just wanted to kind of give you a overview of where we're at for the year-end projections, fiscal year 1920, our current year. As
Becker?
some of you, sure.
Your screen is a little distorted.
Huh, okay.
I think it's from, can you maybe minimize it? I think it's zoomed in a little too far. We can't.
You mean the whole screen? Let's see. Sir, I don't know. Okay, maybe this will work.
We have to go out of share screen and come back in.
Okay.
I don't know if it downloaded.
Stop share. Well, it's jumping all around, Mayor. I don't know if it's gonna do it with this presentation that I have. Let's see if this is better. Is that a little bit better?
It's still distorted. Can anyone else see it, or is it distorted on your end as well?
It's still distorted on my end.
Somebody might be telling me.
I'm sorry. I think it may have something to do with your bandwidth or something, Logan, because it's almost pixelized or whatever you call it. I don't know the fancy terminology, but it's not coming across clearly.
Okay. Maybe I should exit out of
Logan,
it.
have you tried closing that screen down and then starting over with it?
Okay,
Might
hold on one second.
reboot it.
Right. Let me try 1 second, okay? I'm sorry. I apologize. It actually, I mean, it's the same exact thing that's in the agenda. So maybe if you can't see, we might just have to pull up the agenda. It's not going to be as pretty, but let's see. All right, let me try to share my screen again. Share screen. Way.
That's clear right now. Totally clear on my screen now.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, so we'll try that. If y'all see that it does it again, I can always exit out and reboot. Anyway, so looking at this fiscal year, the Department of Revenue has instructed the city and counties to only expect 50% of the collection for the share revenues for May and June. We are still haven't heard back for August and September what to expect for those, but I will keep everyone posted. It's obviously due to COVID, and we're monitoring the COVID related expenses and loss of revenue just to make sure that we track those accordingly. This is our city assumptions for fiscal year 2021, which is next fiscal year. You'll see we're proposing no change in millage rate, 6.4. Our pension, general decreased, police increased, fire increased, not by a substantial amount, but just a little. Our health insurance, we are still in the pro share agreement and building a health contingency. Our rates did increase about 4%. So we added a 2% increase for the employees. That did offset that rate increase. The 2% for everyone offset the rate increase for health insurance. Implementing electronic payroll module, we are actually moving forward with some of that project right now. The expense we'll probably see hit next fiscal year, however, so that's going to be a new fun thing for the city. We're also adopting a public safety scholarship program for the fire and the police departments. That's going to help us with our recruitment and retention of employees. We're really looking forward to that program. We did have longevity increases this year that are going into next year. That's going to equal about $24,000. And we are budgeting an 8% increase for workers' comp and liability insurance, which is in line with what we saw last year. Any questions?
At what point are we going to look at what we're doing with the longevity pay, and really the impacts that it has both to the pension as well as to the budget? I mean, in most businesses, you're not getting a full raise. You may get a single pay at significant longevity pieces, i.e. 15 years or so, but you're typically not going to get it in the same way.
Yes, sir. We can definitely look into that program. I know it's been something that's been talked about in the past a couple of different times. So we can bring a proposal forward for you all to review.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Okay, if nothing, was that a comment?
No, I said I'd like to see if we can get a proposal brought forth as a part of the budget. That'd be great.
Okay, yes, sir. We will try to have something brought forward for discussion, and then we can approve it hopefully in September along with the budget for you. Speaking to our work, play, and live initiatives, this is something that we brought forward last year. Due to COVID, there's been some of the departments weren't able to do exactly what they thought they were going to do. This is just a little bit of an update. The police department, the police department has partially completed theirs. They were modernizing their uniforms. Public Works, I think it's something that they're consistently looking into, your team building, that sort of thing. Definitely getting the call about a new work order 6. And human resource, we do have into next year revitalize the wellness program for the employees. Obviously, with COVID, we weren't really able to do much, or she wasn't really able to do much this year with that program. Okay. Next up is general fund. So this is diving into general fund. Our ad valorem taxes are at 95%. That's how we budget those. The property appraiser in July gave us our figures. That was about 0.28. Our finals in all of our state sharing revenues. I just looked lunch. They still have not been published. They were supposed to be published this week per their calendar. So still waiting on those, but we're currently budgeting flat. Fire assessment, 95% collection rate is how we budget those. Still waiting on NEID for their figures that they prepare for us in conjunction with the property appraiser's role. We are not changing any rates for our fire assessment this year. You'll see in the revenues for the general fund that there's a capital lease proceed match for the police cars, the grant match for the fire, which we're in our second year of that for the firefighters. And we have been asked to review the rental rates for all city facilities, as well as our contracts and leases that we have. So that's something that we will be in review. As far as transfers coming into the general fund, you'll see from the TIF, fireworks, Christmas lights, fireworks, we may not see this year, obviously, the current, but we are into the budget next year. And debt service for the brick roads. We also have some franchise fees and some admin expense reimbursements coming in. Any questions on general fund revenues before we move on to expenses?
I have a question. With that, with that fire fund, I would like to know the impact on some of our seniors. I've been concerned about them that might have not been able to pay. Now we do it through our tax collector, and if they can't pay it, then it goes into them doing liens against property and some of those folks, yeah, don't understand what to do. Do we have many people who were in crisis since we've had it? Is it any way you could find out and let us know?
Out to the taxer's office, if they have had issues since actual disease that's cleaning the money. However, I have not had any phone calls from any citizens such as that.
Well,
you're
if they were in distress, they were first supposed to come and talk to the city manager, and he'd weigh it, and if it was that bad, he'd waive it. But we've been up and down so much with city managers, and I
Yes,
would
ma'am.
hate to see
That application is available. However, we have not seen any applications come in for this next fiscal year.
And I've had no phone calls, Miss Mary, since I've been in this chair.
Well, you know, sometimes people don't realize it. They look up and they've never paid taxes before because they've got the tax exemption. And then they see this tax bill. And I just want to make sure that we have folks that are not losing their homes because they can't or don't have the wherewithal to take care of it. So is it any way to ask the tax collector if they've done anything, put liens on people's property or anything so that they would lose it? And if so, see if it's something that we can do about it.
Well, I will certainly inquire of the tax collector if they're aware of anything. I would assume that if something like that was happening, that we would have at least gotten a call and or an application, or that one of you would have gotten a call. But certainly I can check with the tax collector.
You know, a lot of elderly folks they don't take the paper. They look at the soap operas all day and stuff, and they get a letter. It scares them to death because I had one lady coming and asking me what her tax was because she never had paid taxes before. And I explained to her it was her fire tax and her fire fee. And so then she went down to pay it. But we want to make sure that we aren't putting people that have struggled to have their homes and stuff over the years, or struggle to have it, period, lose a home because they didn't know that they could apply. Thank you. If y'all would look into that, I'd be happy.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Right, moving on.
All right. Moving on to the expenditures. Again, we have the revitalization of the wellness program. This is the exact info in the publish. If you're open to highlight some of the instead of reading verbatim, we have some projects on in mining to Office 365, offsite back are two main things on. You're going to see in the expenses, the police, the third and final until fiscal year 23, I believe it is. Police car replacement, and along that, the city major car renewal is up this fiscal year. We have the cars on a replacement cycle. We are looking, exploring a reorganization and reallocations of positions. That's going to be brought forth in a workshop to you all. They're budget neutral, so you won't really see any changes in the budget. Alongside of that, we are trying to implement a fire kettle replace contingency line. This is going to be for their air pack replacements. We would like to purchase those outright instead of issuing a debt service for those. So we're going to try something this year. I think that it's a really good plan for us to have a fire capital contingency so that we can purchase some of those things outright. And then we have an addition of a stormwater maintenance line. Let's see. Transfers, we're going to talk about those a little bit more in depth when we get to the golf fund and the airport fund. But the new one that's in here is actually a transfer to or to Better Place for a public works building. And we'll talk about that in Better Place. Any questions on the expenditures for general fund?
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move forward.
Moving along to Better Place. You can see here that it says 1% reserves. If you take out the big grant projects that you have going on there, you really have a reserve coverage of 6%, which is significant in that fund over your debt service. Just a summary, this is the state estimate of revenue as well. So we're just using last year's estimate until I can get those figures from the state. It also falls under the same category that the May and June figures, around 50%. We have some projects going on in there, sidewalks, road surfacing, your dock improvements. Speaking to the public works building that I referred to just a moment ago, we just put the budget there just so whenever those discussions come back around in the next year that we can show that have the availability. Below, you can see all of the projects that we have. It's a great year. Obviously, we have a lot of grant opportunities going on and a lot of activities in this fund. So you'll be able to see the listing of the grant and the city matches. Any questions on any of those projects in Better Place?
Oh, no questions. We've got, hold on, Vice Mayor's muted.
Okay, I said, I was gonna ask, are we doing something about St. John's Avenue? I know after you cross the railroad track, we getting potholes and dips and everywhere. They've done repair. And I see FDOT has we have some money in there for that. Will that help to resurface that road, that street?
We've got a total appropriations for St. John's Avenue at 1.3 million.
Okay.
With 300,000 coming from the city.
Okay, it's just that street is getting really bad. Okay.
We're set to do major projects on St. John's Avenue all the way out, pretty much to Palm Avenue over the course of the next couple of years. And so all of it's been put in there. If you remember, the appropriations we got last year was for St. John's Avenue. And so they've been using Ayers and Associates on that project to actually, and so they've had the communications, they've had some citizen workshops, and that project is moving forward.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
Moving on to the airport fund. Each year you can see we transfer over monies. 153,000 roughly is for the debt service that we have in there, or the loan that we have in there. The remaining amount is to actually allow for the airport to balance. We are projecting missing fuel sales by just actually gears are different when we get to the year. Don't think we're going to miss them as much as we thought initially due to the COVID.
Repeat that. Can you repeat that? You're breaking up.
Sure. Yeah, so here initially, whenever I did our calculations, I did project that we were going to miss fuel sales. How I track it each, and I think that we'll see a huge miss in those revenues for the fuel sales at the airport, like we had originally thought. Transfer this year is bid for 201,000. Again, 153,000 of that goes to the debt service. I believe the last payment is in 23, fiscal year 23 for that. We have two projects going on next year that are 100% grant funded, a hangar project and a FAA taxiway A phase 2 project. And then we have 4 projects that are potentially going to be rolling forward if they're not completed by September.
And the airports, and just for the record, the airport's debt service comes off in 23.
Yes, sir.
Is it 23?
Yes, sir. Fiscal year 23. Any questions on the airport?
Mary, you got to unmute. Just a little microphone. Can you unmute? Can someone please unmute her? Leave it unmuted.
Okay, I was gonna say, the board out there has been very anxious about doing something about the air show. It's getting bigger and having somebody else come in and do it. Would this be the place to look at it to see if we had any funding to help get that done? Because it's in the 10th or 11th year now. And it's
30th
gotten
year.
to be, how long? Longer than
Like
that?
the 30th year.
That, not the air show. I didn't think they had that long, but anyway, they think it's gotten
Vice
kind
Mayor?
of. They think it's gotten
Vice Mayor,
kind of.
can you hear me?
Yes. Hello?
Yes, the board, this is John from the airport. The board asked me to mention at the city commission meeting tonight that they are interested in vetting production companies and submitting a list to the city commission to let the city commission select a production company to take over the fly-in. That came up at the last advisory board meeting, and I was directed to make sure I mentioned that at the commission meeting tonight. So I think the hope there is that a production company comes in and it pays us or gives us a percentage of the gate, and that's assuming we still have it, that the pandemic is over and that we have it. So anyway, that was to be a discussion at the commission meeting tonight.
So just make a note that if we do have to pay for this production company, if they don't make profit or how the contract is not working, we will have to make a budget amendment, especially after, we move the budget forward. And essentially, the fund is already bring a significant amount to balance their budget. That amount will come from general fund, be an additional from general. We have some offsetting revenues.
Well, I think I think if they get the right company, that it will benefit, bring some monies to help pay down that mortgage.
That would be, yes, ma'am.
But I would like for you to put it on your agenda. Put it
something
in
else that may help. Something else may help. Sorry, I was late for the meeting, but I was taking a down payment on a company that wants to rent the old terminal building, and that's going to start in a couple of weeks. And this person has a number of airplanes that they will be flying back and forth from, I believe, the Caribbean. So that's a real positive thing I wanted to pass on that will hopefully help with fuel sales and rental money. And for the first time that I know of, everything will be rented at this airport, every single piece of real estate.
Well, I have a question. Logan, you faded in a little bit and faded out a little bit on me when you were talking about the general fund. So as I recall right now, I don't see it here, but as I recall from our conversations, in addition to debt service, about $60,000 is projected to come out of the general fund next year in order to cover the operating expenses of the airport. Is that accurate?
It's about 50. It's 0 minus 3 for debt service. So it's about 50,000 to actually balance the airport budget. So what I was saying about the production company, that if you were going to pay a production, that would essentially be a transfer from general to airport.
Okay, so right now we're already transferring about 50. And if we pay the production company, we're talking about an additional sum of money coming out of the general fund to pay the production company. Correct?
Correct. Means that I would have, yes, sir.
Okay, so, and then my next question is, if the commission is going to consider this tonight or whenever, if John brings it up tonight, I don't think it's an agenda item, so I don't think you're going to be, I don't have an agenda in front of me. I don't think you're going to be making a decision, but something, John, that I think that since the airport board is bringing this to the commission, traditionally, the airport board has been pretty steadfast in saying that they didn't want anything charged for admission, and I don't even think you guys charge for meals. You take concessions. I guess the question for me is, are you contemplating asking a production company to come in and asking them to, in essence, manage the event, but telling them that they won't be able to charge anything for meals or for admission?
No, I think the hope is that the production company comes in and they pay us for the event, or they give us a portion of their take. I think the days of not charging are in the something we're not wanting to do anymore.
They're not going to be giving us anything unless they're collecting something. So my question is the board, the airport board, saying that they want a production company to come in and run the event, but they also want to make sure the production company does not charge for admission or for parking?
No.
Or food?
No. I think they want the production company to charge, to turn it into a revenue generating event.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate the clarification.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, very good. Yeah, the idea is to try and turn it into a moneymaker.
If nothing more for airport, we can move on to golf.
Try golf.
Golf fund, same as airport, we do have a transfer going in from general fund. That is per the agreement or the franchise agreement. In the cool year, out of June, the sales were up by about 14%. So Andy is doing a great job running that golf course. We do have a revenue sharing agreement with them, that we get a percentage after so many amount of dollars that he's brought in. 50% remains in the golf fund, and then 50% is transferred to general fund. So I'm budgeting about $8,000 for that. The revenues and the expenditures are all strictly based on the franchise agreement. It is what is written in there. Therefore, by design, you're going to transfer roughly 60,000 into the golf fund each year, because the contractual revenues are about 54 and expenditures are about 114. We also transfer in from the general fund 169,000 for the golf debt that will end in fiscal year 23, the same year as the airport.
Of course, gave us a check back last year, right?
Correct. That's all I have for the golf. Is there any questions?
No questions. We'll move forward.
On fun. So, the summary of the sanitation fund, we are proposing a 6.5 rate increase, which is roughly $1. It's the same that we've proposed the last 2 years or implemented the past 2 years. We have a vacant mechanic position that we've increased the budget slightly for. You can see that we've had to increase some of our like vehicle maintenance, gas, lubricants, containers, dumpsters, those sorts of things, our general expenditures. We do have a capital project of replacing the superintendent's truck, and we have a transfer for the public works building. Their portion is about 32% of the debt service. Staying in trim with the fire capital that I spoke about earlier in the general fund, this year is the first year that we're going to do a capital replacement contingency. If you see down below, we have multiple vehicles that are on a debt service. We really want to get into a replacement, a long-term replacement in lieu of debt servicing out these vehicles. So we're going to try that this year and see how that goes. That is it, sanitation. Do we have any questions?
No, and just so that for those who are watching or listening, the replacement of the public works facility has been a topic of discussion well before we came onto this commission 6 years ago. And we are ready to move the trick. We're ready to pull the trigger on that, right, Mr. Griffin? So we're looking forward to that actually taking place this year to increase the, to give a better working facility, a better place for our employees and staff to be able to work out of. And we've actually located some property that we have that the city owns, which doesn't allow for us to take property off the tax roll. And we can put that facility in place, I think, for a fraction of the cost that we originally budgeted at. That's it.
Okay, we'll move on to our last fund, which is our utility fund, which is where our water and sewer rates live. We are proposing an increase this year on the tier consumption fees. We restructured the tiered, or the tiers, I should say, last year, but we did not increase the consumption fees. We're just trying to get closer to production, and pumping of that water. We charge $1.97, but the cost is about $4.08 per 1,000 gallons. Also, you're going to see a roughly $3 increase for your residential meters. We have seen the past couple of years since we've restructured this, and Mr. Griffith has done a wonderful job researching and implementing this, that we're heading the right direction, be proactive versus reactive, trying to, all of those terrible water lines that we have. We have a few projects rolling forward. EDBG station, or N32 and the FEMA lift station. We're adding an engineer position to hopefully help out with all these projects that we have going on. You can see that we're growing in our grants and in our project side of the house. And so this position is important for the city to onboard. We also have some capital projects going on in both the water and the reclamation department. We have loan proceeds and debt service for the plant improvements that I believe is a SRF application that is going forward that they're currently working on. We're still chipping away at the $7 million award received in SR notable projects. Again, you see that transfer to better place for the public works building.
What kind of engineer can you get for 60 grand?
Not exactly sure. Mr. Griffith would have to speak to what he's looking for in that position.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, at $60,000, we're probably not going to get anybody with an extensive amount of experience, and we're probably going to be more in the range of getting somebody who's graduated with their civil engineering degree and preparing to sit for the PE exam. What it may work out to is we may actually get kind of an early career or mid-career project manager with some engineering experience. My hope was to kind of take some of the field work project management responsibilities off of Miss Tucker so that she could focus on the contract administration and the grant administration, allowing us to scale a little bit more on some of these capital projects. We're seeing more and more projects every year as we keep getting into this. Does that answer your question, sir?
It does, but would it make more sense for us to add another $15,000 or $20,000 to that position so that we can get someone who isn't necessarily learning on the job, but someone who's going to bring some additional efficiencies and be able to help us create some additional resources?
I would be in support of that. I think Logan and I would just have to look to see what that would do to the reserve balance. But I believe we could make some adjustments. Do you agree, Ms. Becker?
And that would be my question.
Yes, I would agree. And if it makes organization and what is for position that we look and see room we.
Yeah, I mean, at least for the next.
Understand Logan's response.
I'm sorry.
She's looking for something. We couldn't hear your response. Your mic was, you were breaking up as you were giving your response.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'll work with Mr. Griffith to see where we can make some adjustments in the budget to align that position more of what we think will work best for the department.
It may be just as simple as making some calls to some of the other communities in the area just to see what the salary ranges are going to be. I'm sure you guys have already done your homework, and it just may be something we can bring back for consideration and see what the impacts to the budget will be for the second budget meeting.
We can do that, sir. I was actually just searching for some of the other salary schedules that we had on record from some of the communities, but not able to pull it up right at this time, but we can do that.
I mean, I don't think the numbers itself are going to throw things, way out of whack. But, if we can find ourselves in a position where we can find someone with some experience as opposed to bringing a new position in where we're going to probably lean onto them for some expertise as well, it may make more sense to find someone that has more experience. That's it.
Have we finished with that? I have a question. We let the gas authority take over collections of the funds for our water department. And I had something happen last night to me. They went to fix some tile on the floor in my building, and they busted a water pipe. It was after 5 o'clock, and I called and they said $60 to come and cut the water off. And he lived in Interlaken and it would take him 30 minutes. I wanted to know, do we get any of that collection funds? He told me he had to tell people that when he went to cut the water off. And he wanted to let me know that when they got it fixed to cut it back on, there was a fee. Does any of that come back to the city? Or is it all kept by the gas authority and whoever they have working overtime? And to me, that's a little much for me. $60 and then you gotta wait 30 minutes or more. If you had a bad flood in a house or somewhere, 30 minutes might cause you to lose quite a bit of stuff in your house. So I didn't get a chance, Don, to talk to you about it today because I was busy. but I was interested in knowing, I don't know who I paid the $60 to. Do we pay it to the city or do we pay it to the gas authority?
The same place you pay your water bill.
Gas authority? Okay.
Yeah, the gas authority is actually acting just as a collection agent or conduit for the city as far as the water department is concerned, or the water rates and meters are concerned. And I guess that was an after hours call. I guess what you told me was, if I heard you correctly, that was an after hours call after they already had somebody at home. So that meant a call out for somebody to come in and turn it off. And I'm certainly not prepared to address all of the issue with you, but
would you check it and see how much it is if it's during working hours? The other thing was, I told him to let me know when he came because I wanted to see what was going on why they did it. There's a meter in the box, the metal box there, but where he went to cut the water off, there was no cutoff. He had to dig behind the meter. So when they ran those new lines down 9th Street, they did not put the cutoff inside those meter boxes. And that might be something we need to check. So if somebody has an emergency, people won't have to worry about how to find somewhere to cut the water off when it was easy to go in a meter.
okay. Yes, ma'am, I'll check.
All right.
Anything else from the commission? Seeing nothing else, you can move forward, Ms. Becker.
Okay, that concludes our presentation. I don't know if you have any additional questions for me or.
I've got one that we discussed. We discussed it briefly, wanted to get some direction from the commission. I've talked to Mr. Holmes as well as Ms. Becker about this. One of the things that we see overall, I think, when we look at what goes on with the city is we're trying to eliminate one-person departments. When we got here for a number of years, you had a city manager that was in charge of all the HR, a city manager that he was in charge of HR. He dealt with all the contracts. He dealt with all the performance. He dealt with dealing with citizens. Everything was done in one place. What we're trying to do is create succession planning. I think in everything that's there, it's one of the things strategically that Mr. Holmes has mentioned. He's mentioned when he first started the job, the idea of bringing on an assistant city manager at some point in the near future. But from a budgeting standpoint, I actually think that the time to do that is sooner than later, because it creates what we see overall is no matter who the manager is walking in the doors here, a significant amount of time is spent dealing with citizens, a significant amount of time is spent dealing with staff issues, and a significant amount of time is spent putting out fires. And I think that as we begin to break down some of the duties that are in place, years before we had general services folks, we had different positions that were in place that took some of those things off the city manager. And as time went on, most of those duties began to be pushed back on the city manager. I think the time has come for the city of Palatka to really look at bringing on an assistant city manager that deals specifically with contracts and some of these other issues, so that the city manager can really create, I think more than anything else, be able to implement the goals that come from the commission as a whole, as well as to push forward strategic planning processes and some of the other things that are out there, and not just be overwhelmed by dealing with some of the citizen issues that come up on a day-to-day basis where he can't move forward with the vision aspects of what's in place. And so while it's not a request this year from Mr. Holmes, I think that it's a great opportunity for us as we're looking at roughly 23, looking at having 23% in reserves, for us to start to look at the idea as we create business efficiencies of having an assistant city manager be brought in at least halfway through this fiscal year, the upcoming fiscal year, so that we can really start to change the way in which we do business in Palatka. And I think it will be of great benefit to the citizens, to the staff, and to the commission to have that in place.
I'm not totally against it, and I do believe, in me talking to Attorney Holmes, that there was a possibility of us doing some kind of workshop with regards to a possible reorganization or reallocation of some job descriptions. I think that would be the opportune time for us to have that particular conversation in that particular setting. But again, I'm not totally against it at all. I think it's something that we should definitely look at if it's going to be beneficial to us.
I think the thing, and I'll say this, Commissioner, in response, I think the thing that we've seen ultimately is, even in transition, as we've transitioned over the years with city managers, there is no level of continuity. We find ourselves scrambling, putting a staff person in that position. If God forbid, Mr. Holmes had to take leave, then you'd find yourself scrambling to get a senior advisor or someone to come in to deal with management duties, because it's a one-person department. But if you've got that second person in place, then it changes how it allows you to be able to continue doing business without having to take people out of their other roles in order to fill in as you start to deal with certain things. And I think it's just a point of consideration that we should look at, and at least, I think if nothing else, even if we don't pull the trigger, have the resources placed into the budget so that at that point we're able to move forward, because it's a part of the future vision, and there's not too many places that you go that are the size of Palatka where there isn't an assistant there.
I mean, I'm in agreement, but
I just want to give it.
I'm in total agreement with you. I think it's something that is worth looking at. And again, with me talking to Attorney Holmes, I think it was something that he was trying to bring before us, whether sooner or later, because I did bring up some concerns that I had with the organizational chart and those things. So again, that's something that I definitely think that should be at the forefront of the conversation when Attorney Holmes comes to us.
And that's correct. In the one-on-ones, I think I made it known to everyone that I had some ideas about a reallocation of staff to perhaps better match the skill sets that we have with some of the responsibilities that we have, that I thought would result in a more efficient operation. The logic of what both the mayor and Commissioner Campbell said, to me at least, is it's hard to dispute for a variety of reasons. One, and you'll recall, I think, when we began our conversations, one of the thoughts about having a city manager was that while you wouldn't automatically be creating a right of ascension with the city manager to take the place of the manager, at the very least, you would have the continuity that the mayor mentioned if you went outside for a job search when the city manager retires or leaves. And secondly, the mayor's correct when he states that as long as you've got one person at this stage, then you basically have time commitments coming in from all directions. The citizen complaints, the staff issues, dealing with helping to resolve issues of staff with HR, the implementation of commission goals and policies, questions regarding budget, questions, then things happen such as CARES. It's one of those, not something that many of us aren't used to, but it is one of those situations where you find yourself prioritizing and deciding which of the tasks that are before you can actually get done. Now, like I said, I'm sure all of us have that to one extent or another, but it's just, if the budget allows it, then certainly I think more could get done with an assistant city manager. What I had planned to do was bring that budget, that reorganization workshop to you sooner rather than later. Actually, I had just basically planned on putting the flow chart together. It's already together in essence and bringing it to you. But I think one of the commissioners suggested that I do it at a workshop, and I'm happy to do it at a workshop. So we can get that workshop scheduled as quickly as I think probably mid-August. We don't have an August meeting scheduled. We normally take that August meeting off for the League of Cities annual conference, but they're not having one this year. So if that's something that the commission is interested in, then I'm happy to oblige.
Yeah, we're just doing a one-day Zoom on August 13th.
So we're able to get that workshop on the calendar for August. And I'm in agreement with that.
I think I'm in agreement that it should be looked at and let our city manager come up with the ideas he has on how to manage, because that gives him better insight into how to manage and more time and more energy and more help.
It'll save his gray hairs too.
Too late. He like me.
Got a few left. So, so definitely, can we also, as we're doing that, look at maybe get some scenarios after that workshop to kind of see what as a part of the workshop to see how it affects the numbers with that, Ms. Becker.
Sure, yes, sir. I was actually going to ask, since there really hasn't been too many requests for this budget workshop other than in the personnel and in reality with the engineer and now the ACM and the reorg. Do you want me to just on a budget work stream the pack to
You're
that
breaking
one?
up. You're breaking up. You broke up.
Okay. Since everything that we've asked to do with the budget has been personnel impacts, do you want me to just bring that forward to this August workshop instead of having another full-blown budget workshop?
If the commission doesn't have any additional items that they want to bring forward or look for in this budget, then I don't see where that would be a problem.
Okay.
So we'll say yes, contingent upon any commissioner wanting to have an additional workshop.
Understood.
Does that make, and because Commissioner Borum's not here and he may have some concerns. And so I guess what I would ask you guys to do is to give him an opportunity to be able to go over it again with you one-on-one subsequent to this meeting, and to make sure that there are no concerns that we need to bring back forth with an additional budget workshop.
Okay, yes, sir.
And we can actually call the workshop that we're doing on the reorg a budget workshop as well, so it all runs together.
Okay.
We can title it or join it. Yep, certainly.
And so that way we'll cover all of it at the same time. And that'll give him an opportunity to give any concerns that he has at that time as well.
Okay, that works.
And what date is that?
They're going to give it, they'll schedule it and let us know in mid-August.
That all right with you?
It should work with your retirement.
Well, yeah, but a lot of us aren't retired, Mayor Hill.
Hey, my retirement.
I don't see, I'm sorry, but I don't see school starting by mid-August.
I understand that, but I'm committed to other obligations as well, although school hasn't started. So
I got you. We'll make sure we work around everybody's schedule.
Thank you.
Make sure we work around everybody's schedule, and it will work out for us. So we'll make sure it won't be in the morning if you start school, and won't be whenever it's inconvenient. Anything else on this? But any other questions that you have, or comments or concerns at this point? If not, for the sake of what we're going to do is I'll just ask the commission as a whole, or Mr. Holmes, do you guys have any closing comments as we get ready to adjourn this meeting?
I don't at this time.
Okay. Seeing no comments or concerns, do we have anything from staff that we need to bring forth at this time? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Stand adjourned.
Second.